So I very recently treated myself to a new detailing accessory, and it is this IK Multi Pro 360. So what I'm going to be doing in today's video is doing a bit of an unboxing and a first use of it, and answering hopefully some questions that you might have if you're interested in buying one. I'm also going to be taking a look at it in comparison to my IK Multi 1.5, which is sort of the cheapest model available of this. So if you have that one and you're looking to upgrade, then yeah, this hopefully will be helpful too. So here we have the Multi 2 360 and here is the Multi 1.5. So first thing that you can notice really is the size difference. So obviously this one is a lot taller, and it is because the tank on it is bigger. So in terms of the usable capacity, there is 1.5 litres of usable capacity here, but there is only 1 litre here. Both of these have graduations on the side, so you can see the measurements. However, because the plastic is so sort of thick and you really can't see that much light through it, unless you're using a really bright coloured chemical, you're not going to really be able to see through it. And yeah, the measurements themselves aren't actually that easy to see, so usually I just use a measuring jug to measure the chemicals out. Another notable difference here is the base. This one doesn't really have any base. It's not super wobbly, to be fair, it is reasonably stable. This one obviously is a lot more stable, it has that wide base, so you can't really rock it. If we move up here to the head unit, you can see that both of them have this same nozzle. So this is a conical nozzle, and you can adjust this to sort of a really direct jet or more of a wide mist. This one does also come with a spare nozzle which has a different spray pattern, so I will demonstrate that as well in this video. If we look on the side, they both have this little pressure valve, so if you are taking the lid off then you need to depressurise it, and obviously when it's not in use as well that will need depressurising too. They both have the same trigger, the only really difference is the colour. One thing to note here is that this one does have this little white trigger. This is because it is the 360 model. If you just purchase a regular Multi Pro 2, then it will have the black tab. So yeah, just an easy way to identify which one you're buying if you are looking to get one. Another notable difference here is that this one does have a locking mechanism on the trigger. So obviously that's when it's just sort of open. You can flick this switch here and it will lock that in place. So really good, especially if you're using chemicals. You don't want to be sort of spraying them everywhere. And it is easy to sort of press that as you pick it up like this. So I'm glad that it does have that feature. Unfortunately, the cheaper one doesn't have that. If you open this one up, you can see where the 360 ability comes from. And it's because it has this sort of pickup tube that's really kind of flexible, and it has this little weight on the end. So basically, no matter how much you've got in the sprayer, this is going to kind of move so you can collect the solution. If I have a look at this one here, then you'll notice that it doesn't have that. It's got a less flexible tube here, and it obviously doesn't have a weight on the end. So you're only going to be able to collect solution here if it is at the very bottom of the bottle. In the box you don't get a whole lot else with it. You get the instruction manual, which to be honest is probably going to go in a drawer and I'll never see it again. You also get this little bag of accessories. So there are 3 things in here. So first of all, you've got the spare nozzle. So this is going to have a fan setting. So instead of that conical kind of spray pattern, it's going to have more of a direct fan. To my knowledge, so you can't have any adjustment of this, whether it's sort of the width of the fan or anything like that. So yeah, that might be interesting to try out. And then you also get these little colour-coded caps. So if you have several of these, you can use them for different chemicals. So these just pop on the end of here, and you can actually put the nozzle in there as well for storage. But I'm probably not going to do that because it will rattle about a bit. So yeah, these just simply click into place nice and easy. So before I jump into the demo, what I do want to do is quickly talk about what kind of chemicals I usually use through my IK sprayers. And it tends to be those that I'm generally going to be using quite a decent volume of throughout the detail, because it's a much more efficient way of spraying the chemicals compared to using a regular sort of trigger sprayer. Now, this one in particular is very resistant to acids apparently. It doesn't actually say anything about alkalis. However, personally I've not had any negative experiences. I don't use something super strong through it. But when I'm using diluted all-purpose cleaners and citruses, don't tend to have any issues with it, or at least haven't in the past 3 years. So yeah, I'm probably going to just continue to use it for that. I also like to use it on the interior as well, so it can be really good for putting down all-purpose cleaners, particularly when I'm going to be doing some kind of extraction on the mats or fabric seats. And also, I know they're a very popular option as well for rinseless washes. So putting O&R or absolute rinseless and things like that through it is a very popular approach. One thing to note though is that this is an IK Multi and not an IK foam. That means that you can't get foam out of it. Some products will sort of bubble a little bit, but it's not going to produce that thick sort of foam that you might be expecting. If you are looking for that, then you are looking for the IK foam version. I do have a video comparing the two different types, so the multi versus the foam, so I'll pop a link on screen to my comparison of those two types of sprayers, and I'll pop the link in the description as well, so if you are unsure which to purchase, that will hopefully help you out. So I'm going to jump into a demo now of this and see how I get on with it. So what I'm going to do is fill this up with 1.5 litres of water, not going to put any chemical through it because I'm just going to be demonstrating the spray pattern and how much sort of you get out of it versus how many times you have to pump it. So I don't want to waste any chemical, so I'm just going to pop this in here. So I'm going to make sure that's nice and tight, as if you don't tighten this properly, you're going to get air sort of seeping out of here and it's not going to pump up properly. Right, so I just did about 15 pumps there, and it was starting to feel like that pressure valve was just about to pop. So yeah, definitely feels like about 15 pumps when it's at max capacity is probably about right here. So I'm going to go outside, spray it for as long as possible, and we'll see how we get on. So I initially pumped this up 15 times. I got really good pressure for about 30 seconds with this. At that point, I decided to give it another 15 pumps, and that took me to about the 2-minute mark before the pressure was getting pretty pathetic. So it was really good output of air, and I used about 700 ml of solution during this sort of 2-minute period. So for me, that is easily enough to be able to pre-wash the wheels and to be able to pre-wash the lower sections of the car, just using those 30 pumps in total. So I'm more than happy with that. So here you can see what the conical nozzle looks like. There's a decent amount of adjustment here to a very direct jet or more of a wider mist. I'm probably going to stick to more of that mist setting, but it's good that it does have that adjustment. Changing to the different nozzles is really easy. Just make sure you depressurise that head unit first by flicking that little valve on the side, and they simply just twist off and twist back on. And here you can see what that fan setting looks like. As I said, there's not really any adjustment here, but I am really glad they included it. It is a useful nozzle to have. I'm not really sure which I'm going to use out of the two yet. Obviously I've not had this fan one before, but I do quite like the look of it, so maybe I'll give that one a go a little bit more. And here you can see the 360 ability. So the sprayer will work even if it's in that upside down orientation. So this is useful, obviously if you've not got much left in the bottle, it helps to be able to collect that solution that's at the bottom. And also if we're getting really into the wheel arches or doing like the headliners in the interior, then this is going to be quite a useful feature for me to have. So in terms of my first impressions of it, I'm very, very happy with it so far. It does feel like a step up in comparison to my 1.5 sprayer, with the ability to spray it 360, and also just having that extra capacity is very, very useful to me as well. So if you do currently own a 1.5 sprayer and you've had it for a long time and you're thinking, do I make the upgrade? I personally do think it is probably worth it. However, if you've just purchased a 1.5, it's totally fine, it's still a cracking sprayer, and you're going to be absolutely fine with it for a good while. What I will do though is pop a link in the description to both these sprayers so you can check them out. If you have found this video useful, it would be brilliant if you could drop it a like, and thanks for watching.